I have some charts to share with
Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is October 27, 2024. Howard, why are you
you.
dressed in red?
I don't know. It's thin sweatshirt. It's hot here still in Phoenix, over 90, but not 100. So I'm trying to get in the mood of cooler weather.
Are you preparing for a market correction?
Yeah, I think we're due for one. I'm not so much prepared for one as I expect one. So
Yeah,
that's
it's possible. It's possible. I mean, last week we definitely saw a uptick in volatility. Actually, some of the best performing ETFs for last week were volatility ETFs. And then we saw on Wednesday there was a big shakeout in the indices in many stocks. And then on Friday, an attempt for a big breakout, which finished near the lows. So a failed breakout attempt. And both of those came on big volume, which basically means distribution.
yeah.
So yes, everybody's bullish on everything, but it's normal to see some fear and uptick in volatility right ahead of the presidential elections. I know that many people say they're irrelevant and they shouldn't matter in the long term, but in the short term, they can cause a significant volatility to the downside or to the upside. I- I'm, so everything's really has been going up. I mean, except treasuries. Treasuries have been pulling back. And a few weeks ago, one of the famous money managers, Stanley Druckenmiller, he came out. He was at a conference and he said that one of his biggest position is short treasuries, which was, right after the FOMC made their first rate cut and said that they're beginning a cycle of cuts. So it was very interesting to see that basically that rate cut a month or so ago marked the top in treasuries. It was kind of by the rumors, sell the news. And ever since then, rates have been perking up, which means that the most interest rate sensitive groups like small caps, um, solar, and regional banks and biotech and housing, they've been under pressure. When rates go up, those sectors typically underperform. And on the other side, mega cap, large cap tech has been outperforming. So are you doing anything special ahead of the elections, or you're just, staying with what you own?
Yeah, I think that's a great take. I think, JC, from a price perspective, if you zoom out just a little bit, everything's in a bullish trend, right? There's highs hitting from gold
Yeah,
to tech stocks like Netflix and Spotify to um, even Nvidia and Bitcoin near it is everything's working if you zoom out just a little bit. But yeah, last week's a good take. There's some divergences. I wouldn't be chasing stocks here. In my degenerate economy index that raised cash for the first time since I started at 13%. Um, the index will so outperform that it'll continue to do well with some cash to put to work.
what's the biggest position?
And Apple and Google, and then I think Coinbase and Bitcoin make up the next biggest position. But I cut back on some Robinhood. I cut back on SE, which is like Asian gaming. But there's, like what Philip Morris Ultra broke at, like Philip Morris broke.
Yeah,
The digital stocks are doing well. Uh,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So Sin does well. I mean, it's a toss up on the presidency. The market seems to finally maybe worry for a couple weeks. So I don't think, but and you have FANG earnings this week, right? So,
Yeah.
let me walk you through what JC walked through from a higher level. Like I think Ivan, you're pointing out that there's interest rate sensitive stocks kind of drive the economy, the more of the economy than the FANG stocks, right? And so they're stalling out right here. But let's share. How do I share my screen?
Okay, give me a second.
Yeah, so let me
All right,
share.
go ahead.
Um, can you see my screen or no?
Not yet.
Let me figure this out. What about now?
All right, now we can see it. Yeah.
All right, so let's look at this is interesting because healthcare stocks, some of them, the bigger caps like biotech's not broken out, but Eli Lilly, United Healthcare, XOV have done great. But you can see healthcare versus the S&P 500, right? That's amazing if you look at how Lilly's done and some of the drug stocks.
Yeah.
At healthcare, look at it relative. So it's 13-year lows, right? So something's going to give here. The S&P rolls over and defensive stuff like healthcare starts taking over. So I think you got to pay attention to this. I don't know what it means quite yet, but it was surprising to me to see this. Next chart that I would share is, I don't think this has gotten enough attention from any of us. We all kind of gave Michael Saylor more shit than he deserved, but
Yeah,
this
new all-time highs for
all-time high,
MicroStrategy.
the
Yeah.
stock has outperformed
You're not
everything.
showing anything, by the way, Howard. You're
Oh,
not
what
you're
about
not
now?
sharing.
What about now?
Not yet.
Hang on. What the hell? Uh, what about now?
Okay, now we can see it. Yeah.
Right, so here's MicroStrategy, right? JC showed this. Like, I was aware that it was doing well, but it's outperformed NVIDIA.
It's
And
doing better than Bitcoin itself right now.
so something's going to give here, right? Bitcoin's going to, this is something about, there's something about the US dollar in here, something about new forms of strategy. There's something about attention, and there's something about Bitcoin, and obviously the genius of Michael Saylor here. And the lack of attention that's really gone. You know, think about the attention NVIDIA and FANG have gotten and Bitcoin versus the guy who's outperformed them all. So I thought that was interesting. The next one that I think is interesting, again, I don't necessarily do crypto, but you can't ignore it, right? Especially from Stocktoberfest, there was a huge topic of discussion, as it should be. So here's Solana versus Ethereum. Do you see this?
No,
So I thought this was interesting because it was always about Bitcoin and Ethereum, and Ethereum is not going away, and it's structured in a way that that burns supply. But
we're not seeing the chart, Howard.
let me pull it back up. There's something going on with I haven't give me a sec. It says I'm screen sharing, so I don't know why. We just
Maybe
what
close this one. Close the
about
MicroStrategy. Okay, now we can see it. Yeah.
let me close the MicroStrategy. Can you see Solana?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So you can see this relative breakout to Ethereum. So it's becoming, from an attention standpoint and price perspective standpoint, it's dominating Ethereum, right?
Yeah.
And makes sense because meme coins, which are the degenerate economy's new thing, which is fascinating as I've been talking about because it's embracing the silliness and culture. There's no, oh, ooh, this is something. This is all rug pull country. This is all buyer beware. This is all on products that are hard to get. Like you got to go download pump.fun to play this type of world. And so it's like single access, hard to do, but everybody that's doing it is loving it, right? And you can judge them for all you want, but it's being powered by Solana. So I thought that was an interesting chart along Solana.
Hmm.
Next one, can you see my screen? If not, I'll share again.
No, we're not. We cannot see your screen.
Sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna just keep doing this. What about now?
No.
What about
Okay,
now?
now we
You
can
see
see it. Yeah.
regional banks?
Yeah.
Okay. So remember when they were just getting killed and now they were all going to go to zero and that helped bring down the market in 21, 22 or 22, 23. Now they're back at 52-week highs.
Well, the
Um,
government bailed them out basically. Without the
I
government, they would
understand,
be. Yeah.
but they bailed them out, but that matters, right? The bailout's still rather recent.
Mhm.
Um, we'll see if that turns around if rates continue to go up, right? And if that trade, but right now the markets don't do poorly when banks like small banks are doing well. Um, what about this chart, the US dollar index? Do you see it?
No,
Okay.
you should have just opened your website and just show the charts from there.
Hang on. I'll figure it out here. Only a few more, Ivan.
Okay.
Share. It keeps dropping the share.
Okay, now we can see it.
Can you see the dollar index here?
Yeah, it's been rallying. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying, considering how well gold and Bitcoin is doing, you would think you would see a complete travesty in the US dollar. And, they're rallying together. So I think something's going to give here. Either we're going to see a pullback in gold in Bitcoin, or the dollar's just going to flip over and
Okay.
confirm.
But here you're showing the US dollar, which is
It's
basically
strong.
versus other currencies. So yeah,
Yeah.
versus other currencies, it's holding well, it's doing
Yeah,
well.
good point. Good point. With the other currencies doing well, and that may be why gold and Bitcoin continue. But everything against gold is dropping. So gold is rising against every other currency, which is super interesting. Same with
Yeah,
Bitcoin. Next one, can you see the Rivian chart here?
not yet.
Okay, let me fucking go. God damn it. Just I'm the worst at this.
Okay.
Yeah, can you see it?
No.
All right. That's just going to show you this. All my friends are talking about Rivian, right? They're buying Rivians. And I
And
hear,
you have rich friends, I guess.
I understand, but I'm saying we're seeing a different thing in the public markets. You see it?
Yeah, I mean, nothing new. Tesla is printing money, Rivian is
That's what
losing
I'm
money
saying.
on every car.
So, so we've got a long way to go for Rivian. People are asking me, should I buy Rivian because they're buying a Rivian over Tesla? And it's not showing up in, as you can see
Maybe
here.
they should buy the car, but not the stock.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. But the stock has been just in a massive downtrend, and Tesla's perking up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Tesla surprised everyone last week with their earnings, gapped up. It traded to almost new 52-week highs. Let me share my screen. Are you done sharing?
hey, one more, and then you can see Netflix, which I've been talking about for the last 400 points.
Okay.
Finally, it broke out to all-time highs. Don't
Are
chase
you
it.
even watching anything on Netflix? I mean, not that it matters. Obviously, the chart is what matters.
Um, yes, I do. And again, they continue to win the business, right? Like again, at scale, right? They've beaten everybody but YouTube and maybe TikTok, right? And so now it's just interesting to me. And again, don't buy it now, but I've been long and through this breakout. It's now
They
one of the
they figure out how to make money in
it,
that business. Yeah.
and they figured out how to like keep Hollywood at check, right? The actors don't like it, which is fine. Like, why do they get to be treated differently than any other industry, right? Netflix is just doing what businesses do and disruption does. And what it's doing is opening up acting to a broader, just opening up a global creative economy at the sake of what, 10 Hollywood legends. So now one of the 25th largest companies in the world. I think people continue to misunderstand it because they say, well, I don't watch a lot, but they do pay, and hundreds of millions pay. And there's so much pricing power here and so many different product differentials.
Yeah.
Again, I think it also goes to why I love Google, which is, I spend more time on YouTube than I do Netflix.
Yeah.
And
Netflix is probably the first big media company to outsource acting because that's what basically they've done. That's their strategy.
yeah, and now
Uh,
all the other industries like fintech, I just saw Brex for Hollywood, right? Like, so all the tech is going to streamline production and creativity that we're seeing in AI. So Netflix at scale is the biggest benefactor of AI, fintech, all these things that streamline making content. So I thought that was another great looking chart from JC. But again, this is a company that started out in DVDs. So this all-time high is, after 5, 6 years of grinding away and through a high interest rate cycle and through COVID and the aftermath of COVID. So unlike Shopify, which is still kind of, 40% below all-time highs, even though e-commerce is growing, Netflix, I think it does say something relative strength wise that, a COVID darling has, when everybody was stuck watching just Netflix, is breaking out to all-time highs, and no one's really talking about it. And it's, broken in as a media company at a top 25 even though it's a tech company underneath, it's a media business. So I just think that's very interesting. Um, and all right, I'll drop it back to you.
Okay.
That's all I had on it. So a couple trades or other ideas that look interesting.
I mean, my biggest trade last week was Tesla. I bought after the gap, and I had stock and co-options, and I still have some stock. And I think after some brief consolidation here, it has a shot at breaking out and potentially going for a test of 300 if it can start trading above 270. A couple others that earnings
Could be part of
breakouts.
that Trump trade too, right? Like
Yeah, but
Tiger,
uh, I
PJT's
mean,
triple.
before the earnings, it was trending down, right? It was pulling back. People's expectations were very low, and then look at
Yeah.
this big surprise, huge volume, big accumulation on those
And
two
it's also
days.
helped the indexes this week hide some of the damage, right? Even though there
Yeah,
was
yeah,
distribution.
exactly.
That's a $200
Um,
billion move.
so the other couple ones that broke out on earnings, RMD, obviously a sleep play, new 52-week highs on high volume. If this one
Yes.
holds its gap, it
This
might
is
set up again. Uh, and then the other one, it's not a new trend. Deckers also broke out on large volume here after beating earnings estimates again. And this is probably one of the most underfollowed big trends of the past 20 years or so. I mean, look at this. Basically, since 2005, as far as this chart can go, they were like what?
yeah.
Like a dollar. Now
It's
it's 168.
America's
Just
it's
incredible growth.
middle America's LVMH, from Hoka to Uggs, to just basic retail acquisitions. It's America's version of LVMH, and well, LVMH has struggled here because China. Um, going back to ResMed, I think they're kind of like the Fang of sleep. And again, I've been in the stock over the years, but out of it on that, the last few years.
Wow, look at this.
The
Okay.
benefit of indexing has been,
20x.
and honestly, no real competitors. The sleep industry as a country ages. I can't explain. I don't use the ResMed products, even though I probably have apnea. And it's just strapping shit to my nose to breathe has not been something that I've been able to kind of get to. But it recovered now from just a nasty few quarters. Um,
Yeah.
and what's the capitalized $40 billion company, right? So if you index, these are kind of the companies that help that you end up staying in if you index. And it feels like it's kind of back on trend here, but very little competition at the public company. This is how institutions play the sleep trend.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one last one. This one is an educational stock also. I mean, it was selling off ahead of the report, probably as a more of a political election play, as people were thinking that if one side wins, maybe they'll cut subsidies or for the education industry, but they reported another strong quarter. I
What's the
think
market cap?
this is like their sixth earnings gap, $3.4 billion. So that's new all-time highs. It's holding well. It could follow through.
Put
This
that on.
is a long-term chart. I mean, obviously it broke out somewhere in 2021, 2022, and it's been trending higher.
I'm going to follow that. Only 2,000 followers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strong trend for the past couple of years. So,
Big volumes come in since 2021. Okay, on my list.
all right, I think that's it for this year's, I mean, not for this year, for this week. See you next week then.
See everybody.